bill? And yes or no, will Rachel Reeves be your Chancellor at the next general election?
Chris, look, I'll be really clear. We're going to stick to the fiscal rules. That is a very important thing that we've said throughout. We set out those fiscal rules
Rachel Reeves is under intense pressure at the moment. The reason is simple. The economy is struggling, the cost of living is through the roof, and inflation has reached new, unexpected heights. It is safe to say that she is facing the biggest challenge in her political career. But the situation is about to get worse. Rachel Reeves has been betrayed by her boss. Keir Starmer has thrown Rachel Reeves under the bus. And in today's video, we will tell you how and why he did it. So you have to watch this video till the end to get the full details of this shocking turn of events that can change everything about British politics.
Resign or be sacked unless she comes up with a decent explanation for all of this. Or I might have added a proper apology, because
since Labour came into power, it has become obvious that they made promises they can't keep or even wanted to keep to win the last general elections in the UK. Now, the 22 billion black hole is another political myth. As expected, blaming the previous government is the oldest trick in the book. But they are all playing the same game, only that Rachel Reeves is learning the hard way when Keir Starmer publicly betrayed her.
was to see measures to bring the energy bills down, but going cap in hand from dictator to dictator is not an energy strategy. The Prime Minister is saying we can't rely on Russia, so now he goes to Saudi Arabia. Liz Truss was saying only the other day, we've got to stop relying on malign actors, and that's why they want to wean us off Russia. But you can't do that and then go cap in hand to Saudi Arabia. And so what we need is an energy strategy that has security, less imports, rely on renewables here, ramp up onshore and offshore wind, get nuclear going much more quickly, and have retrofit like we're seeing here in Kirklees, so we drive down the need for energy in the first place. If there's one lesson of the last few weeks and months, it's that we need to stop this reliance, dependency on oil and gas from overseas, Russia in particular.
There have been widespread rumours that Rachel Reeves will be replaced soon. The potential contender is Pat McFadden, the Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, often seen as the unofficial deputy PM. Alternatively, Wes Streeting, the current Health Secretary's name, has come up. Adding to the tension, Keir Starmer has brought in Olaf Henriksen Bell, a former Treasury official, as his new Director of Policy. Some see this move as undermining Reeves' authority.
The Bank of England.
Critics are also pushing for Starmer to appoint someone with real Treasury or economic expertise to No 10, signalling a desire for stronger leadership in handling the economy. The stakes couldn't be higher. So Keir Starmer avoided confirming whether Rachel Reeves will remain Chancellor for the rest of this Parliament. When questioned during a recent speech,
For an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, the return of the sausages. For God's sake!
the Conservatives accused Starmer of using Reeves as a scapegoat for the struggling economy, while the Reform UK party argued she was simply fulfilling his economic agenda. Meanwhile, Lord Clark, a former Tory Chancellor, warned that sacking Reeves was a wrong decision. He pointed out that Reeves' controversial displays show that her decisions were made with Starmer's support.
Earmarked, so a lot of people out there are going to be quite shocked today.
Well, in the decisions that we've made in the budget today, I accept that this is a big and a substantial budget.
But
it wasn't the budget that I was.
It wasn't the budget straight with them.
It wasn't the budget that I was expecting to deliver when I became Chancellor on the 5th of July.
Reeves now faces increasing pressure as borrowing costs rise and the state of the economy and public finances continue to worsen. The challenges ahead are mounting fast. The chaos in Britain's financial markets doesn't seem like it is going to improve. Oil prices have hit their highest point in 6 months, sparking fresh worries about rising inflation.
In my local pub, he was absolutely in bits. Worried for his family, worried for his livelihood, worried for other farms that are going to have to close. They're selling off their land. They're selling off to solar paneling. And, it's just going to be horrific what is going on. And she lied, and she lied, and she lied.
About what?
Because she lied about these taxes. They said they're not going to tax the working people.
But they would argue that those aren't working people, because I think it was people who can write a cheque every now and again. I think they may have changed it again. But they claim that they're not still taxing working people.
Their tax hikes are affecting every demographic in this country, and what it's doing to the farming business, it's seriously damaging the family business. But what it's doing to food security, what it's doing to people's lives, has she not been there, talked to a farmer and listened? She's not read the room. I don't think she...
Meanwhile, the pound has dropped to its lowest level in 14 months. Goldman Sachs predicts further decline is possible, possibly reaching $1.20 against the dollar within a year. While the tax off her first budget has made the most headlines, the borrowing is worth talking about too. Of course, Rachel Reeves changed the debt rule to enable her to borrow more, and that is exactly what she did. Tens of billions more in borrowing, which raises the taxes to unprecedented heights. The fallout is that businesses, especially the smaller ones, are forced to bear the burden of the struggling economy. That seems to have dampened the growth rate that some analysts suggest has risen inflation too, as businesses are passing the higher costs of production to the final consumer through price increases.
I didn't think that any government would be so reckless to have £22 billion of unfunded
taxes by
commitments.
40 billion.
I absolutely recognise that. In our manifesto, we had commitments of £8.5 billion. In addition, as I said, there's a £22 billion black hole, which recurs...
On another front, Sir Keir Starmer avoided giving a straight answer twice on whether Ms Reeves would stay in her role after he delivered a speech in London about artificial intelligence. Starmer's refusal to give a clear guarantee caused a stir in Westminster, especially since Downing Street had backed David Lammy, the Foreign Secretary, in a similar situation last year. When asked directly, yes or no, if Ms Reeves would remain Chancellor at the next general elections, Starmer skillfully dodged the question.
8 billion of that is because you decided to settle public sector pay disputes. Are you telling me, seriously, that you did not have an inkling before the general election that you might have to find billions of pounds to settle those pay disputes? And why didn't you level with the British public about that?
The previous government...
Instead, he responded with, "That is why I have full confidence in our mission for growth, and I am confident in my team," Starmer concluded. A Labour MP suggested that the Prime Minister should think about replacing the Chancellor if the economy isn't stabilised by this summer's spending review. The opposition parties quickly seized on his remarks, with Gareth Davis, the shadow financial secretary.
Then we had a budget which the OBR said was going to push up inflation. This morning we had city economists, real economists, Mr. Speaker.
He said Labour is trying to insist that everything is fine. But the fact that Starmer has repeatedly refused to say whether Reeves will remain as Chancellor speaks volumes. The Prime Minister is looking for a scapegoat, but this crisis was made in Downing Street by Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer.
Speaker, last week the Chancellor told the CBI conference that she wouldn't, quote, come back with more borrowing or more taxes. Last Wednesday, the Prime Minister hung her out to dry and refused to repeat those words. So will she repeat them today and rule out any more borrowing or any more taxes?
Richard Tice, the deputy leader of Reform UK, argued that Sir Keir Starmer wants to distance himself from his Chancellor. He said Keir Starmer may now try and distance himself from Rachel Reeves, but the reality is this is his economic agenda and this is his choice for Chancellor. After hours of speculation, the Prime Minister made it clear through his spokesperson that Ms Reeves would remain Chancellor in the upcoming general elections.
£2 billion black hole left by the previous government. We'll never have to repeat a budget like that because we won't ever have to clear up the mess of the previous government ever again.
The bill will be working with her in her role as Chancellor for the whole of this Parliament to grow the economy and deliver for working people, Starmer's spokesperson said.
Well, I'm really proud to have worked as an economist at the Bank of England before I became a Member of Parliament, and also in financial services at Halifax Bank of Scotland. I've got the experience to do this job as Chancellor of the Exchequer, as well as the 14 years as I had as a Member of Parliament chairing the Business Select Committee.
Starmer's spokesperson said that after claims that she exaggerated some of her past achievements, Reeves had previously stated that she worked as an economist at Halifax Bank of Scotland before entering politics. However, her LinkedIn profile was updated to say she worked in retail banking at HBOS instead. Reeves started her career as an economist at the Bank of England before moving to HBOS. In a 2011 interview with The Independent, she was mentioned as working in the HBOS retail division.
people should judge me on the job that I do, fixing the economy, fixing the mess that we inherited from the Conservative government.
But what do you say about the fact there was a change made to the profile and it now says retail banking, it once said economist? Just explain that.
Well, I'm an economist. I studied economics. I got a master's in economics from the London School of Economics.
That same year, her biography on her Labour webpage stated that Rachel worked as an economist at the Bank of England, the British Embassy in Washington, and the Halifax Bank of Scotland. Tory MPs Graham Stewart and Alex Burghardt, who were standing in for opposition leader Kemi Bendunch during the weekly Commons session, along with Lee Anderson from Reform UK, all brought up the controversy while questioning Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner. Do you think Rachel Reeves will be replaced by Keir Starmer before the general elections? What do you think of Reeves' economic policies? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.